welcome back to Pia Talks. We are back today for some more true crime. We are reviewing Fear Thy Neighbor, Season 6, Episode 1. However, before we get into that, if you have not subscribed, please help me grow my channel by subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you can always be notified when I post new content, and hitting the thumbs up. Now on to the show. This episode takes place in a town called Grayson, Kentucky. There is a couple named Clyde and Kathy that have lived in this neighborhood for over 30 years. They are retirees. Clyde is a veteran. He has 3 Purple Hearts. So he has truly served his country and deserves to have the opportunity to live a peaceful life. Clyde and Kathy take very, very good care of their property. They have true pride in their home. They value the home. They like their neighbors. Then a guy named Jeff and a lady named Teresa buy the empty lot across from their house and build their dream home on this lot. They thought this is the perfect place. We're out somewhat in the country. This is a great place to build a home and raise our kids. And Clyde and Kathy are not used to children around the neighborhood playing and making a lot of noise. They're used to sitting out on their front porch, in the little rocking chairs, reading the paper. Once their home was built, they moved right in and got to regular life, decorating the home, setting everything up for the children. They had a pool, they had a trampoline, they had all the things that kids love to do. They had plenty of space for the kids to run around and make as much noise as they want to. It's outside, right? And that's what kids do. Well, Clyde and Kathy, they were not a fan. They were not a fan of all that noise, but they decided to just let it go.
We literally had everything we wanted, everything fun.
Younger people with kids have a very busy life, a lot of coming and going. Kathy and Clyde, I think, wanted quiet.
Kathy and Clyde didn't like it so much so that they decided instead of spending as much time as they usually spend out on their porch, they would start staying inside. However, the noise started to get a little louder and they, felt like their home was invaded with this noise. The thing is though, kids are kids. No matter where you live, kids are going to make noise. That's what happens when they're outside, they're playing, they're running, they're jumping. 9 times out of 10, they're screaming. That's what kids do. And, Kathy and Clyde were just not there for it. They really were very upset by it. By their house, Clyde and Kathy's house, there is a road that leads to a pond. Since they've been living there for 30 years, they have decided to claim this road as their own, but it isn't. It's actually a public road that people can use to access the pond. Well, Kathy and Clyde did not realize that or just didn't care. When Jeff and his family decides to use this road to get to the pond, Clyde lets them know that they are on his private property. Stay the hell off. And Jeff lets him know, no sir, this is a public road and we are allowed to use it. Now, I realize that it is a public road. They have been there for 30 years. They think it's their road. There's a couple of things you can do. You can either try to explain to them that this is public and we are allowed to use it and see if they go for it. Or you could just not use it just so that you could give them a wide berth. They're older, they're set in their ways a little bit. Let them just have this road and go another way to the pond. Or you could call someone from the city or even the police to explain to them that this is a public road. Either way, I think if it was my decision, I would just ignore it and just go a different way. So it turns out that Jeff and Clyde are total alpha males and they're not willing to stand down or anything for each other. They're not going to do it. It's his way or no way. That's both of them are thinking that. So Jeff one day decides that he's going to take the public road with his brother-in-law and go fishing. Clyde decides that that is a no-go. He pulls up on Jeff and his brother-in-law and tells them that he better get the hell off of his driveway because they are not allowed to use it. Jeff's brother-in-law tells Clyde, no sir, We are allowed to use this. This is a public way. Jeff gets upset and starts calling Clyde's wife, Kathy, fat. I don't know why he decides to go in on this man's wife and her personal appearance. That has nothing to do with you, Jeff. Anyway, Jeff and his brother go ahead and take the road and they go fishing. Jeff also owns a very loud motorcycle that he likes to rev up and ride all the time, making quite a bit of noise, which has irritated the crap out of Kathy and Clyde. Then all of a sudden, Teresa and Jeff decide to start throwing all of these parties, late night parties with fireworks. They know by now that Claude and Kathy do not agree with all of this noise and all of these loud parties, and it's not like it was just one party and done. They're having several parties and several fireworks going on and off throughout the night. And it's not even the 4th of July. It's not around the 4th of July. They are just having all these parties and everything. They're putting off these Roman candles, I think is what you call them, bottle rockets and things like that. And they're aiming them directly at Kathy and Clyde's house.
The bottle rockets would litter the Reddix's property.
Clyde, there's another one right there. Get that one. They're hitting the roof.
Oh my gosh, Jeff!
Clyde!
Oh. Here I go.
They go out and find there is one that has landed on their roof. So they're out there with their water hoses. They are trying to water down their roof. You know, they're thinking they need to save their home, which is understandable, right? They decide we're done with this. They call the cops. The cops come out and Jeff tells them that it was some of his friends, some of his visitors that he had over. They were the ones who were setting off the firecrackers and the Roman candles and the bottle rockets and all that stuff, but they've since gone. So the police tell them, all right, and they leave. Well, the noise dies down for several hours and Clyde and Kathy fall asleep. The next thing you know, Jeff starts up the fireworks again just to piss them off. That's a no-go. Like, these people are elderly. You know, do I think that Jeff and Kathy have the right to have parties? Yes, I do. Do I think that their kids should be able to play outside? Oh, yes, I do. Should they have their trampoline and their swimming pool and ride their bikes? And should they have access to that walking thing? Yes, they do. And they should. However, if you live in an area where you have close neighbors, it's really nice to try to be kind to those people. They are the people that could either make your life miserable or help you out in times of need sometimes. And it's just a little bit of respect. I personally live in a neighborhood, everybody is super chill. However, if I'm having a party, I go to my 2 neighbors on the side of me and my 2 neighbors directly across from me and I say, hey, I'm going to be having a party on Saturday. If the noise gets too much for you, let me know. And everybody appreciates that. Then there's no problems. That's what Jeff and his wife should have done. Or at least told their partygoers, hey, let's just, take the party in or whatever after a certain, hour. With all the fireworks and loud music and parties going on, Kathy and Clyde start to believe that they're doing this on purpose, that they are absolutely trying to upset them or burn their house down because they keep aiming towards the house. I would think they were at the very least, trying to upset them, yes. Before they called the cops, I forgot to mention one of the stupid bottle rocket fireworks actually hit Kathy's sweater and set her sweater on fire. I don't know how I almost forgot that, but I almost forgot that. Set the woman's sweater on fire. That's dangerous. Oh, what? You are definitely aiming these at this woman's house. That's ridiculous. I also forgot to mention that Clyde has post-traumatic stress. He can't take all this. I mean, can you imagine being a vet? You have served your country. You come home with post-traumatic stress syndrome and you are waking up out of your sleep to bottle rockets and Roman candles. You are freaked out. They are messing with a ticking time bomb. Quit playing with him. So Jeff still thought that his stuff doesn't stink, right? He still uses this public road, which he definitely has the right to use. But one day, him and his brother-in-law went tipping through the public way, and Clyde pulled a gun on him and said, "I don't think so. You won't be using my driveway today." And they had no other choice but to keep it moving because this man has just pulled a full rifle on you. Listen, take another way to the daggone lake or call the cops and get some kind of paperwork proving that this is a public street, that he doesn't own this drive. Oh, wow. I can't imagine one of my neighbors pulling a gun on me. Like, I would lose it. Okay? But for safety reasons, I just go to the lake a different way. I'm sorry, I don't want to die just because I want to use this public street that you think is yours. I just want to go fishing. Yikes. So Kathy is out one day taking a little walk, and Jeff decides that it's the perfect time for him to hurl insults at this woman. First of all, I'm sorry, Jeff, but really? Kathy and her husband may be annoying as hell as neighbors. They may be rude, and they may also be jacking the public drive and you can't get over to the lake. But sitting there in front of his kids, he starts calling Kathy fat and telling the kids to give her a wide berth. And then the kids start laughing, and Kathy gets so upset by it, she goes home and starts to cry and tells Clyde all about it, which in turn really pisses him off because this is his wife and you've just made fun of her and made her cry. Clyde was absolutely not going to put up with that. He really wasn't. All of a sudden, somehow Jeff's dog is poisoned. Now, the neighbors and the police and the lawyers involved say that they are pretty sure that Clyde is the one who poisoned Jeff's dog. So Jeff, Teresa, and the kids are all devastated at the loss of their family pet, and they are all very well aware that it was Clyde who did it. I mean, Clyde and Kathy have really gotten fed up with this situation, and Jeff and Teresa have gotten pretty fed up with it as well. So Jeff, being very angry and upset over the loss of his dog, he runs Claude and Kathy off the road. Claude gets extremely pissed off because now he feels that his life and his wife's life is in danger and he needs to protect his wife at all cost. This has gotten way out of control. I mean, as I'm watching this episode, I'm like, who lives like this? Who is battling over noise, children playing, motorcycles revving, fireworks? Like, listen, I think, like I said before, Kathy and Claude, they deserve a little peace and quiet. But Jeff and Teresa deserve to make a little noise at their place. I mean, there has to be some kind of middle ground that they could have worked out between the two couples. These are grown people, and it got to this petty level. I'm gonna pull a gun on you because you're in my driveway that's really not my driveway. I'm gonna go ahead and set off all these bottle rockets and Roman candles, rev my motorcycle, making as much noise as I possibly can. Now, I'm gonna poison your dog, and I'm gonna call your wife fat. Like, what? This neighborhood, I mean, some of the neighbors that were on the show said that it just got really volatile and it was difficult for all neighbors. They may not have been involved, but they're still seeing all of this unfold around them. And yeah, you're bringing down a whole neighborhood with this. After the whole run you off the road situation, Kathy had it.
Shut that thing off!
You think I'm afraid of you? Are you friggin' crazy?
That's crazy. Crazy as hell. What? I don't even get that at all. On July 16th, 2004, Jeff and Teresa decide to go into town to run some errands, but they leave their babysitter, Dustin, to watch the kids. Dustin and the kids are outside playing. They're being kids, being loud, throwing rocks, doing all kinds of things, running up and down the yard, screaming and hollering, but they were just a little too close. Kathy and Clyde's property, and Kathy was not there for it. She starts yelling and screaming at the kids, and when the kids take off running, she takes off after them. She is running and screaming like a banshee, yelling at these kids. They make it to the house before she does, and they slam the door. She's beating and banging on the door, screaming for them to open up and come out. And I'm thinking, man, what were you going to do to these kids? They're children. Save it for their mama. Okay? But instead of that, Kathy picks up a cinder block that is on their property and throws it through Jeff's truck window. Oh, what? Okay, so these kids are out here playing in the yard, making noise, throwing rocks, but they are on their property, just close to your property, and you run after them and then throw a cinder block through Jeff's truck window? Somebody's unstable. That's all. The kids are completely freaked out. They call Jeff and Teresa and ask them to come home. They let them know that Kathy has lost it. Jeff and Teresa come home. They call the police. The police come over. They take some pictures. They take a report. And then they go over to Kathy's to talk to her about the situation. Well, Kathy and Clyde don't open the door. So the police leave. Thinking, what? Everybody knew that they were still home. They just didn't come to the door because they did not want to talk to the police and they did not want to be in any trouble. So they didn't come out. So everyone just goes about their business. Jeff is home. He's taking a nap. He's actually upstairs in bed with his smallest child taking a nap. Teresa is downstairs making dinner, and Dustin is there because he's going to stay and have dinner as well. Dustin goes outside and he realizes that Kathy and Clyde are actually home and sitting on the front porch. He runs back in and tells Teresa that they're home. You should call the police and let them know that they're there. But then he goes back outside and he starts screaming and yelling at Kathy and Clyde, calling them names and flipping them off. I have no idea why that young man thought it was a good idea to go back outside and antagonize these people. I don't know why, when he noticed that they were outside, he couldn't have gone back in, told Teresa what was going on, and set his tail down. But that is not what he did. He made a decision that he was going to yell at them and flip them off. When he did that, he really made a mistake. Out of nowhere, Clyde picks up his rifle and heads over. Dustin runs in the house screaming but doesn't say enough. He runs upstairs and he hides in the bedroom closet where Jeff is. Jeff is asleep. He has no idea what's going on. Clyde comes into these people's house.
Jeff? Please don't. We all felt scared. Really scared.
Mama!
It just seemed like it was inevitable.
I just cannot believe this. This man has completely snapped. He came into those people's home. He killed Jeff and Teresa in front of their children with a 20 gauge shotgun and then went home. The neighbors actually called the cops. By the time the police arrived, there was no way that they could save Jeff or Teresa. But when they went over to Clyde and Kathy's, they were just sitting out relaxing as if nothing happened. And when the police asked them what happened, who shot the people, Kathy said it was her. She was trying her best to take the blame for the murders. And Clyde was going to let her until Her story didn't add up, and eyewitnesses said it was definitely not her. I'm like, you just killed 2 people in front of their children, and now you are going to be all right with allowing your wife to take the blame for it? Okay, Clyde, nuh-uh. Everything about that is wrong. You had so many options. This man could have called the police. He could have just sat there on the porch and ignored Dustin. Dustin could have kept his butt in the house and left these grown people alone. There were so many chances that these families had. I like to think that Jeff, Teresa, Clyde, and Kathy could have sat down and had a real discussion and figured out a way that they could have come to a happy medium so that all these families could continue to live their lives in some sort of peace. But it erupted to this. It starts out from, we just want a little peace and quiet, to, I'm gonna grab my gun and kill the both of you. In the end, Clyde decides that he doesn't want his wife to have to go through a trial, so he takes a plea deal by pleading guilty but insane to 2 counts of first-degree manslaughter. Clyde was sentenced to 35 years in jail. Kathy was charged with complicity to murder, and due to Clyde's deal, she only served 2 years in prison. Out of the 35 years that Claude was actually sentenced, he only served 6 of those years in prison. In 2012, he was diagnosed with cancer and he passed away. Kathy still lives in the same town, and the victims' family, they still see Kathy in town shopping, living her life as if nothing ever happened. Those children lost both of their parents that day. And all of this over a stupid dispute that could have been settled. I mean, I'm just shocked. And what struck me as odd is one of the attorneys on the show said that if this was ever a case where somebody should have been let off for PTSD, he thought that Clyde should be let off for this. And I'm thinking, even though I sympathize and I appreciate his service, to me, that wasn't a good reason to kill them. It really wasn't. I just don't think it was. Those poor kids, you know, they were there. They saw their mom die, and they will never, ever be able to erase that. And so, I tell you what, I believe in being kind to your neighbor, because you don't know who those people are. You know, you're out every day, in and out, coming in and out your garage or whatever, and you wave and smile, but you don't know who that is. To the families of Jeff and Teresa, I am so sorry for your loss, and I hope that things are well. Well, until next time.